Welcome, Dr. Shivani, to the Biohacker Babes podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're so excited. So Renee and I have been drawn to Ayurveda our entire lives. Like we've been talking about this for so long, we don't have the deep knowledge that you have, but it's always resonated so immensely. But these practices and the perspectives of Ayurveda really hasn't infiltrated the Western medicine world. And
Sure.
you are our gal today. You have a PhD in a very powerful healing nutrient, which if the audience didn't read the title, we're going to just like dangle that carrot there. They have to wait to find out what it is. And you have a master's in Ayurveda, which you present in your work with a Western twist or flair, which I'm very excited to learn about.
Yeah,
I'm curious, just to kick off, what is your philosophy on healing, and what do you think maybe is missing? How are we missing the mark in the Western world?
I think in the Western modern day world, we are so engrossed in so much in terms of social media and content and the news. We get pulled in so many directions. And so instead of always working towards bringing body, mind, and spirit into alignment, which is the goal of Ayurveda, and instead of working towards feeling whole and nourished, we're allowing this modern day time to pull us in so many directions and be so dysregulated, dysbiotic, lacking in nutrition, lacking in nutrient density. And I think we're feeling that, we're seeing that. We're seeing chronic disease explode. We're seeing people feel so much anxiety, depression, mental health issues. And so my goal is always, how can we bring the healing modalities in, especially the ancient ones that have so much value and wisdom in them, and bring those practices into place so they become rituals in our lives and they become part of our daily practice. And the more we feel whole and nourished and grounded, then from that place of healed and whole, we can approach the rest of our lives.
Yeah, more about the lifestyle than just pulling in an isolated tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love that.
So just in case anyone in our audience isn't familiar with Ayurvedic medicine,
Sure.
Maybe you can do a quick 101 and explain that for any newbies here.
Sure. So Ayurveda is this ancient system of medicine from India that's over 5,000 years old. And it means the science of life. So it's really the lifestyle we can all live to bring body, mind, and spirit into alignment, to stay balanced, to stay whole. And we have different tools we use. We teach about circadian rhythm and the circadian clock. We teach about your dosha, your individual mind-body constitution, and how that governs how you feel and how you can manage your whole day and your whole life. We talk about the sattvic diet, this diet that's nourishing and really supportive to being balanced. Gut health as gut digestive fire, and this fire that we're meant to honor and open and close and manage throughout our day. Then we talk about sleep. Sleep is a big part of healing and rejuvenation. So we dive into that. And then also a lot of herbs and spices, which I call the super spices, because I think they can create such powerful results for us, like superfoods. But here in the West, we're not as accustomed to using all the spices. And so my goal is to bring those back into our lives.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, even I'm guilty of not like cooking with enough spices and different things. So yeah, I love that.
Same. I've never been taught. I don't know how to use them properly. And then there's the whole question about sourcing. Are we getting it from the right place? How much are we supposed to use? Like so many questions. So do we want to go into this powerful healing nutrient that you have a PhD in? At the time,
Sure.
We can always circle back and round it out with the Ayurvedic practices.
Sure. So my PhD was on turmeric, the spice. And turmeric is just this powerful, it's a powerhouse spice. It does so much for the body. And what most people don't realize is turmeric is from the ginger family. They both are such powerful anti-inflammatories, antioxidants. And when it comes to turmeric, so many people are putting it in their food. They're putting it in their lattes. It's fine to use turmeric as a food. It's beneficial. But out of the entire turmeric plant, only 3% is the curcuminoids. Out of that 3% of the curcuminoids, only one of those, curcumin, is the most effective at reducing inflammation. And so unfortunately with turmeric, it's kind of became a fad where people are like, yeah, I buy my turmeric, I take my turmeric, but I don't feel anything. And I think a lot of that's because we're putting regular turmeric in a pill and giving that to people. That's pretty useless. They could have taken a half teaspoon themselves and put it on their food. And we're not eating it properly with black pepper or a healthy fat. So if you're going to eat it, make sure you're adding black pepper or healthy fat to get the absorption. So don't make it a skinny latte, make it a whole milk latte. Get that fat in there for absorption. If you're going to use the Raw form, fine, same thing as well, but we don't think of raw as being as potent as the dried form where it's concentrated. And then if you take that a big step further into the extracts, when it comes to the curcumin proportion, how it's extracted, how it's processed, the ratio of those given, all those things decide the level of potency you're going to receive in the body. And so I love turmeric because it's anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal. It is going to engage and kill off the zombie cells that we don't need. We know that from a biohacking longevity standpoint, I just spoke at A4M on this, curcumin for longevity, it impacts telomeres, sirtuins, the AMPK pathway, killing off those zombie cells, apoptosis, increases nitric oxide. So to me, it's like, if you were going to take one superfood, why wouldn't you just take the turmeric? Because it does everything.
Yeah. Yeah. But and so could you just take the curcumin, or do you really need to take the whole plant? Because I feel like a lot of the supplements we see now, it's just curcumin.
Yeah, so when I finished my dissertation about 8 years ago, I thought, you know what? Why, if it's so good, are we not utilizing this more in Western medicine? Like when I go to the doctor and I'm like, oh I threw my back out at that time. I had plantar fasciitis after having my kids. I always went to orthopedics and they were like, take an NSAID, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you'll be all better. And I listened once.
Ooh.
And afterwards,
Yeah.
after a week of taking the protocol, I was like, you killed my stomach. I can't eat food now without having pain. And I got so mad because I was like, well, you gave me a solution, but I got hurt from the solution. Like, that doesn't make sense. Why can't we have solutions that don't have side effects that are negative? And so when I learned about turmeric, I was like, I have a theory. I have a hypothesis. What if I can formulate something, and when people take it, it can replace all NSAIDs for their chronic joint pain or any inflammatory issue that they have? And so that's what led me to the formulation that I built. 500 milligrams of curcumin plus 4 milligrams of black pepper extract. There's thousands of studies proving that that combination is very effective for every itis or inflammation in the body. I shouldn't say every, but most of those issues. We're still studying curcumin very heavily right now. And then what's happening in the market is a lot of people are just not formulating well. The supplement industry is not regulated. And so you can really put anything in a pill. And so with me, I source very carefully out of India to get the most potent ingredients. And then I manufacture in the US with third-party testing. So I know what I'm getting. I know the potency. I know that we have no heavy metals, no microbes. Like, I wanted to put this into orthopedics, rheumatology, functional medicine. And so I took the quality production piece very seriously. And so a lot of people say, oh, my turmeric wasn't doing anything, but this one does. And I'm like, well, that's the cool thing about the biohacking world. We're very intuitive and knowledgeable about our bodies. And so we know what works and what doesn't. So it's been a cool journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing
Is there
that.
anyone that turmeric would not be appropriate for? And if we look at the doshas, and I would love to just square one, explain the doshas to our audience for anyone that doesn't know that, but are there certain constitutions that maybe do better or not as great with this?
Yeah, I mean, there are contraindications to taking potent turmeric. That includes people who are on blood thinners, people who might have gallbladder issues, kidney stones, they should be careful as well. So that's like the group we give contraindications to. When it comes to the doshas, you should be a little careful if you're a Pitta. I'm a Pitta. I don't think about it much, but if you were in India and you're in the burning heat all day and outdoors more, you wouldn't want to overheat the body, and turmeric can be considered warming. So I just tell people we live in AC climates, climate controlled 90% of our days, 95%. And we're hydrating, hopefully being good hydrators. As long as you're eating cooling foods or cooling things, you're fine. But yes, if you were going to work in the farms all day, don't take potent curcumin if you're a Pitta. So that's kind of the only dosha I think that has a problem with it. The doshas are mind-body constitutions. And so in Ayurveda, we ask everyone who comes to an Ayurveda consultation to take a quiz. And when you take that quiz, it tells you clearly your prakruti, which is your dosha from birth, it's what you were born with, and then your imbalances in the here and now. And so Vata people are made primarily of the elements of air and ether. And so that's someone who has a tendency to be thin and wiry, kind of lanky. This is someone who has thin or brittle hair. This is someone who has like long features. Their tendencies tend to be like Energizer bunny. So if you're a Vata, you're an Energizer bunny. You think fast, you talk fast. You are very creative. You're artistic. You tend to have poor disturbed sleep, poor disturbed digestion, and you can kind of eat like a bird. You can just have green juice and your crackers and hummus, and you don't even need real meals. So Vatas are like their own characterization, and they have their own imbalances and diseases that usually come from those traits as well. Then you have the Pittas. We are fire with some water. I'm a Pitta. Pitta people tend to be ambitious and entrepreneurial and very driven. We also tend to get really hangry. We have to eat our 3 square meals a day or the whole world melts down. We have to manage ourselves like nuclear reactors, because if we're not fed and managed properly, we can just explode, and we're going to explode on the people we love the most. We're like volcanoes. So erupt, we burn out, we all the words you can think of related to burning and volcanoes. So I teach my Pittas, manage yourself, cool yourself, coconut water, don't go on beach vacations. Like, we have a whole tendency for ourselves. We tend to be medium body, reddish toned skin, reddish hair, all those kinds of things. Early graying is part of Pitta as well. So there's the good and the bad. And then you have the Kapha crew. So Kapha people tend to be bigger bodied, bigger boned, stronger. They can lift heavier. They have thick, curly hair, rounder features. They feel like Mother Earth energy. They're very nurturing caretakers, very one thing at a time. Metabolism tends to run slower. It's earth plus water. So they tend to run like anything mucusy or too watery or heavy is not good for them. So goal with Kapha is get them moving, because once a Kapha sits down, they're typically not going to get up for the day. And so Kapha has all their own beautiful things to leverage, but modern society is kind of like everyone should be in motion and frenetic all the time. So it's interesting when you meet a Kapha, you're like, hey, what you are is amazing. Let's just get your metabolism moving a little so you're supported, and that's it. So it's interesting. I have a dosha quiz on my website, and it's always fun when people take a dosha quiz, because they'll email back to me and they'll be like, oh my gosh, how did you know me? And I'm like, well, it's your dosha.
Yeah.
We all have
Yeah.
templates and traits.
I'm a Vata. Lauren, are you a Vata? No. What are you, Laura?
I've been told by practitioners that I'm tridoshic, but I always felt like maybe I was leaning a little more Pitta.
Sure. I would imagine
Okay.
Pitta.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely more Vata, and I think this is why, like, I don't like cold. I don't do well with like a lot of raw cold things. Like, I do well with like
Hot,
warm
cold,
cooked food, saunas, the desert. Like, yeah, I feel better.
Yeah, and it's so important
Yeah.
to know that, because sometimes we will do things that are so out of alignment, and then we're like, why did that suck? And it's like,
Yeah.
well, it wasn't for your dosha. It was diametrically opposite to what feels good for you. So my goal in any consultation or any program that I do is like, how do I get you to intuitively understand yourself so well that you reach for the right tools intuitively and constantly throughout your day, and then you're going to feel balanced and whole and aligned because you know what you need. Like, for example, I've already lifted today. I already had my protein shake, but before I came on here, my brain was like, you need fat. Like, I asked myself, do you need carb, protein, fat? Like, what do you need? Tea? I was gonna just caffeinate and come on, which would have been easier, but intuitively I knew if I just ate like Parmesan cheese and gave my brain the fuel, I'd feel settled, I'd feel nourished, and I could focus for you guys. So that's like the power of intuitively understanding your dosha, is you know exactly what to reach for to get exactly what you need.
Mm.
I love that.
Love
And we
that.
talk about that so
Yeah.
much on this show. We're trying to harness that intuition, because when we get quiet and honest with ourselves, we often have so many answers, but it's, you know, the process of getting quiet and listening.
Yes.
I used to create this quiz that did infuse some of those Ayurvedic questions. And I always felt that people already knew before they did the quiz, which I'm sure you see too. So it's like, can we just listen to the body? And it's all a balancing act, right?
Exactly.
Just trying to balance out the stronger pulls in our nature. So
Absolutely.
other than so if we are a Pitta, how can we use turmeric to our advantage?
So I think every single person nowadays is inflamed and dealing with some level of chronic low-grade persistent inflammation that is wreaking havoc on the bodies. It's modern day times. Between the environmental toxins in our skincare, in our cleaning products, in our environments, in our furniture, in every single thing we purchase, there's environmental toxins that are causing inflammation, inflammatory responses, or triggering the body. Then we've got viruses and things roaming around. Those also can trigger. Then the food. We're eating an inflammatory diet. So many of us, every processed food we're reaching for has these highly inflammatory seed oils in them. And or we're eating when we're stressed, like we're eating unconsciously and on the run. The body's not even receiving the food. It's like, what is this? And trying to battle with what we throw in there, assuming that what we're throwing in is nourishing and good, but it's the mode in which we consume it that also matters. So because we're so inflamed, I think everyone can benefit from taking turmeric, just because we're seeing as a society the level of chronic disease, the level of itises that we're seeing across the board. As a Pitta, I just make sure I take my turmeric with water, and that's it. I'm fine. I don't worry about it. But if someone's not inflamed, you don't have to take turmeric. So a lot of what I do is educate, like, this is the Ayurveda lifestyle. This is all the stuff we can do to live a healthy life. And if you are balanced and not inflamed, don't take it. That's my goal for you. Let's get you to whole and balanced. But in the meantime, I need my insurance policy in place. I need to know that we're systemically reducing it and staying healthy, because otherwise we're doing a lot of things, but we're not winning at the thing that mattered most.
Yeah, I like that. The insurance policy. We definitely need that in today's world. And what about, I know you said like all the itises, like those are on the rise, autoimmune conditions as well. Does this help with that, with immune function?
Yeah, so autoimmune conditions are exploding. We're seeing cancer rates come younger and younger right now. They're publishing articles on that.
Yeah.
We're seeing arthritis, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis exploding. We're seeing people with gut issues exploding. The epidemics are pretty much every single chronic disease, metabolic disease, obesity, diabetes. So when I was presenting at this conference, I spoke about how with metabolic disease and obesity, we have a lot of science on how curcumin will reduce inflammation and thus support when people are in the journey of weight loss. It'll help you lose weight faster, reduce body fat, support you with your insulin secretions, how the liver is going to process your glucose. There's a lot of science, like up to 10,000 scientific studies are coming out year after year now on curcumin, because it's that interesting as to why is it so effective in the body. So yeah, when it comes to autoimmunity, I think we need to be so aware right now that our body is in battle with itself. Can you imagine? The body is meant to survive, yet it's literally in a fight inside of itself, trying to discern like what to do. And so our job is quiet the inflammation down, so it's not in a war, and then support and build up gut health and immune. And so that's my approach, is always like, let's get the noise down. The body wants to heal itself. If we could just give it that support, it'll do what it needs to do. Then we need to lovingly give it the building blocks, because our nutrition, we think it's good, but we can probably all improve the quality of how we're sourcing our food. And so I'm always seeking, like, are there even better eggs? Are there even better vegetables? Like, organic is fine, but even in organics, there's a lot of games. So the more we can source seasonally, Ayurveda wants seasonal food, fresh food, local food sourced with intention. When you prepare your food, what's your mood? Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Are you thinking about something else? Or are you here and present? When you finally sit to eat, can you take just a breath, a moment? Can you bless the food? Because all of that nutrition is coming inside of you, and your intention is for it to be so great. But if we're all like at work typing and on our phones and eating, we're not quite going to receive all the intelligence that food has for us. And so a big piece of Ayurveda is live that moderate road. I know that life is pulling us to be extreme, like be great and be a billionaire, or live the slow life on a homestead. And there's an in between. I get tempted by both. One's like, be great, impact the whole billion lives. And then one is literally like, be on a homestead, make sourdough bread, and be a modern day prepper. And I'm like,
that sounds nice.
I don't know which way to go here, but I'll go the medium route. I will be a mom who creates great things and creates social entrepreneurship ventures and teaches what I love to teach. And in that middle road, how can I build vibrant health along the way? And that's why I love Ayurveda. It teaches you a way of life.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I do think that's what we're missing in the Western world. It's so reductionistic, and it is. If we give the body the right inputs, it heals itself. And I love all the anti benefits of the turmeric and the curcumin, but it's really just bringing it back into balance. We have a healthy inflammatory reflex, right? We're not just trying to kill the process.
Right.
We want our inflammation to work for us.
Yeah, and curcumin's very adaptogenic. Like I had a physician ask me the other day, you know, what is it going to do if you have blood pressure? And I said, you know what's interesting? It's adaptogenic. It's that intelligent that it goes in there and deals with what we need to deal with. And I made a second formula to my turmeric where in Ayurveda, when you formulate, you're going to create a formula where the primary herb does the main job. Secondary herbs support that one in going where it needs to go and doing the job it needs to do. So like if your job is your knee pain, it's going to help go there. And then third set of herbs is reducing the negative effect of putting strong herbs in the body in the first place. So there's so much intelligence built into how you formulate that it works like a symphony synergistically to get to the result. And so that's where I think it's so cool that we are now honoring ancient wisdom while using modern technology. It's not like we're not using modern technology to create these solutions, but we're leveraging both sides. We're leveraging the ancient, we're leveraging the modern, and we're saying, hey, we know we all need to be in the sun more. We know we need to do all the good things, but how can we take the tools we want to and balance both, balance the being in nature and doing good things to get that result we want? Like, how do we create that synergistic result for the body?
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a cool combination. And really there's so much wisdom from plants. It is mind blowing when you think about it. Like Mother Earth really provides what we need. Like the adaptogenics, like in general, it's so fascinating. And I'm thinking back, I remember hearing a long time ago that populations that have higher turmeric in their diet have a lower risk for dementia.
Correct.
Is it reducing neuroinflammation or is there something else happening there?
It is. It is. So
Okay.
they went to India and they were like, you know, you guys have less rates of dementia. Let's study you guys. And then they were like, well, you guys eat turmeric 3 times a day. It must be the turmeric. And so they went about and studied everything Indians do and realized turmeric's a big piece of it. We also use ginger. But then when the studies of turmeric started happening, like I have so much science. Next week, I'm presenting at an orthopedic neurology conference. So a lot of what I do is osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, like doctors, let's use this as an adjunct solution because you know your patient doesn't want to take NSAIDs in the long term. Not everyone can take NSAIDs and we don't want the side effects. So give the patient this tool and they might come off that other one sooner. And that we've been able to prove for 8 years. But now I'm really interested in Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and all the neurological diseases and issues we're seeing in the body because why are we losing our brain function at the rate that we are? We know Alzheimer's is diabetes 3, like we have type 1, type 2, and now it's type 3 diabetes. We know obesity and metabolic disease contributes to Alzheimer's. So it kind of feels like this freight train that you might not be able to stop, but can we slow it down? Can we have those earlier conversations of stop inflammation early so that we at least are healing the brain? What's interesting is curcumin will stop amyloid plaques from forming. It affects our tau tangles. I think that's the phrase. I just built a slide on it the other day, but yes, it's the neuroinflammatory and antioxidant impact that supports the brain health.
That's pretty powerful stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. A problem that I see is that we're not getting the right diagnostics. Like people have symptoms, complaints, challenges, but then when they go to their doctor, it's like nothing's coming up on your lab work. Your CRP is fine. It's like, well, we have other measures of inflammation. Also, we can just assume that if there's an imbalance, we're probably having inflammation, oxidative stress. So how do we connect the dots for people to really understand that this is something that could be so useful?
You know, I encourage everyone to go to functional medicine. I think we need the diagnostics in place. So a lot of times when people come to me, because I've had this experience of 8 years of meeting with different types of doctors, I'll intuitively know like this person needs that one and this person needs that one. Or if they're ready to learn Ayurveda from me, a lot of times people still have significant like autoimmune stack ups they're coming in with right now. Like you can tell they've got 3. I'm like, okay, I'm going to partner with a functional medicine doctor, an MD who's kind of like Dr. House. I have one who's amazing locally where I am. And he's going to dig in to what I know he does, which is your big blood test, your stool test, your food intolerance test, your hormone test, your maybe heavy metals and mold testing. Like he's going to dig in and get to the root while I'm going to teach you the lifestyle that you have to maintain anyway to maintain any result that you want from that work. Because just because you detox and heal your gut and everything that we do in functional medicine doesn't mean that the lifestyle that you were living is going to let you sustain that result. And so I think there's such a powerful like bridge to be created between Ayurveda and the whole entire attempt we're making through integrative functional medicine and biohacking is like we meet right in the middle. Let's support with both.
Yeah.
Yeah. And create the lifestyle. Yeah. It has to be a lifelong
It
commitment.
has to be.
Oh,
Otherwise,
yeah.
we're going to keep yo-yoing back, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No one wants the yo-yo. That's not fun at all. I'm curious, you specialize a little bit in circadian rhythm too. Like what's the connection from like an Ayurvedic approach to circadian rhythm? Because I mean, we've been following the sun for as long as humans have been around.
Right.
So what
You
can we
know,
learn there?
circadian clock is a concept from Ayurveda. So a lot of my life goal is to just
Okay.
give credit to Ayurveda because Ayurveda is the creator. And so in modern day wellness, a lot of times we pull from the ancient wisdom, never give it credit. And we're like, tongue scraping's awesome and oil pulling's fantastic for you. And it's like, just say that all of this was an ancient wisdom once for me. But same with circadian clock. So in I think the 1970s, these three scientists proved that circadian medicine's valid. And all of Ayurveda kind of laughed. We were like, we've known it's valid. It's our science. But basically, circadian rhythm's just teaching us that our life is reflective of the cycles of nature. And so when you look at nature, the sun rises, the sun sets. And so when you look at a circadian clock, what that's saying is you have a cortisol release at 6 a.m. You're supported to wake up as the sun rises. You could bypass it. You could keep saying no and hitting the snooze, but that's going to make you lethargic and tired. And we take the doshas, and the doshas are reflected on the circadian clock. So for example, 10 to 2 across the top of the clock is your Pitta time of day. So during the day on that Pitta time, you're meant to eat. Your biggest meal, lunch, is supposed to happen during Pitta time of day, between 10 and 2. It's not meant to happen before, not meant to happen after, just in that time, because you're most supported by the fire of the sun to absorb the nutrition from the food you're going to eat. So sometimes if I'm going to be superfood heavy, like hemp seeds and whatever, I'll do it at lunchtime because that's when that digestive power is the best. So we want small breakfast, big lunch, small dinner. That's kind of the rhythm of Ayurveda. And then we have a melatonin release at 10 o'clock, which most of us know now because we're into circadian rhythm in the health world. But Ayurveda teaches that 10 to 2 at night is the best time to sleep as well, because that's when that Pitta fire, the sun's fire, is going to then rejuvenate you. You're going to clean and clear. It's like these janitors come out. I think of them as like little garbage trucks come out to collect the waste in the brain. And we know if we don't clear the lymphatic waste of the brain, up to 3 pounds can accumulate throughout the year in our brain of waste. Then our emotions, our gut, it's going to go collect all the waste of the body and get rid of it. But what happens if we're not sleeping 10 to 2? We're just accumulating. It's like as if the garbage trucks didn't come out to your house for a month. What would the front of your house look like? A big pile of garbage and the stagnation, smell, and fermentation and all the gross stuff. We don't want that happening in the body. And so 10 to 2 is twice as important on the clock to sleep than any other time. So obviously get your 7 to 8 hours. But if you're sleeping every night at midnight, you're cutting that detox in half and you might not get it. You might not have your rest, repair, rejuvenate. And so many of us are working and churning and burning the midnight oil. And even I myself am going through a season where I'm sleeping late. And I'm like, you can't do that. You have to cut the day by 8. For like cut dinner by 7, finish dinner by 7, finish your work by 8, finish wrapping up your day by 9. So you're in bed and asleep by 10. And that takes discipline, but it's part of living this lifestyle where you're investing and giving your body the repair it needs.
Yeah. Discipline, but also the willingness just to try it once. And sometimes you try it and you feel better. And then that's your evidence, right? It's like,
True.
we just be willing to try these ancient practices. It's just so true. All of my clients, they get to shift up their meals. They're like, oh, yeah, that's nice. My cat and my dog do that. And now I think I could do that too.
Yeah. And it's little changes. You're right. It's the little things that support us in feeling so much better, but we have to kind of try it once to see how good it feels. And for me, I make a lot around turmeric, but I also make adaptogenic teas because I always want to support whatever problem I see. So in the afternoons, I needed a support to unwind. But I made something called unwind tea just to like wind down because I found it hard to like ramp up at full top speed in my day. I'm always like in fifth gear, go. And then in the evenings, I need to like settle, or deep sleep tea. Like I'm constantly playing with like, what are the level of adaptogens we can use to support us in feeling the way we want to feel, so we will do the healthy habits and goals, like sleep hygiene and things like that. So I like to bring all those elements in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to get into what's in the teas if we can.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I have to tell you a quick funny story, because
Yeah.
you were saying like we're pulling all of this wisdom that's been around for so long. So Lauren and I were actually on the Dr. Oz show. Lauren, you would remember 13 years ago, maybe.
Sounds right.
They were doing this show about do you have a weird health hack that all your friends and family like think you're weird for doing?
Okay.
Or a healthy habit. And I wrote into the producer, I said, yeah, I do this thing called oil pulling. The producer immediately called and was like, what in the world is oil pulling? Can you
Sure.
can you come to New York tomorrow to film this show? And so I got
That's
to go
crazy.
on. I got to bring Lauren with me, and they had the audience vote weird or not weird.
Okay.
And I think there were 3 of us total. And I was voted not weird.
Nice.
But it was funny that like they thought this was like some like new thing, and like it was all scripted, so I couldn't like call out that, oh, it's actually an Ayurvedic practice that's been around for thousands of years. They were trying to make it like, oh, I made up this weird thing.
Sure.
It was funny, but it was voted not weird. So
Good.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people have not heard of oil pulling, and when I talk about it, they think I'm weird. They're literally like,
Yeah.
"What's this girl talking about? Tongue scrapers and oil pulling?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Listen, I'm going to say a lot about turmeric, but in the end, I will probably have more people tongue scraping in my lifetime than any other habit that I taught, because it's an easy habit stack. It's like an easy one. You just buy your copper tongue scraper every day when you brush your teeth. You scrape the tongue gently 7 to 14 times. It's going to ignite digestive fire. It's going to detox all your organs. It's going to refresh the mouth, so you'll have your taste buds working better, which will be good. You'll taste your food better and hopefully thus eat less. So yeah, that one's good. But oil pulling is also simple. You put 2 tablespoons of oil in the mouth, move it all around 5 to 20 minutes. You can do anything else while you oil pull, which I love. So I'll like shower, get ready, make my morning tea, and then you can spit it out. But I always tell everyone my PSA, which is spit it out in the trash, not your sink, not your toilet, and not your shower. Don't clog the house pipes. You will regret that.
Ooh,
Yes.
very good advice. Yeah, that's such a great habit stack, because I find if you're oil pulling and just that, you just think about swishing and it's difficult. You have to distract yourself, and I like getting in the shower. I feel like it's so much easier. Yeah. And the tongue
I love
scraping, I feel like you do that once, you'll do it forever. I can't imagine not scraping my tongue. I like couldn't go about my day.
Okay. I'm guilty. I have not done it in a couple years. Guilty as charged. I'm going to pull it back out. Okay. I'm going to pull it back out. Actually, I have a brand new one that just came like a month ago. So, all right, I'm going to get back on the tongue scraping train.
Yeah. And some people who have been constipated, they fix that just by tongue scraping. Like you can really fix gut with tongue scraping. How simple is that? One tool, $6, buy it once, lasts forever, and consistently will gently detox you for the rest of your life. Like I love things like that. How do we give everyone affordable, easy solutions to win? And then when they're feeling good, then we can stack on top our bigger ideas for health.
Yeah. What else do you have in your toolbox? Anything else that's really easy?
Yeah. You know, Ayurveda has a series of self-care rituals called Dinacharya. And those are the daily self-care rituals that we teach to have self-hygiene, to detox the body and support yourself. Most of us are not going to make the time to do all 12, because it's not, I don't want to give everyone a full-time job. But usually on the weekends or in the evenings, I'll sit down to do some of these. But another one is dry brushing, like dry brushing to move the lymph from feet all the way up towards the neck and towards those lymph nodes. Again, so we can support detoxification while we're sleeping. And another one is called Abhyang massage. Have you guys heard of Abhyang?
No.
So that's a new one. Cool. So Abhyang, a new thing I get to teach. Abhyang massage means self-massage. So all you do, for me, I laid out a towel. We love sesame oil in Ayurveda. We call sesame oil the king of all oils, because it's got vitamin E, it's antibacterial, it's got good properties to it. So we like unrefined, untoasted sesame oil, clean organic sesame oil, basically. And you'll take that and you'll lather it on the body like you're gifting yourself the oil. So don't take like a little. Generously take this oil, and from your feet all the way up to the neck, massage the body in long strokes. And when you get to your joints, go in clockwise motions, and on the stomach clockwise. But what you're doing is the body's going to soak up that oil. It's oleation of the joints. It's very balancing to Vata. So everyone who's feeling ungrounded and stressed and anxious, it'll just settle you down into the earth. So grounding. And it's so beneficial. It's beneficial for the body, for the skin. It keeps your skin very supple and healthy. So it's a beautiful nighttime routine. And then you shower, try not to wash the oil off too much, and go to sleep. And you'll see you'll get the best sleep ever.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
doing
okay.
that tonight.
Now
Thank
that
you
I'm
so
talking
much.
about it, I'm like, I need that in my life today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
Can
Great
you say the
sleep hack.
word one more time, or maybe
Yes.
say how it's
Spelled Abhyang, Abhyanga. Abhyang
Excellent.
is how we say it here.
Apyan. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing it tonight. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, and you can use
Wonderful.
any food grade oil. So you can take your own olive oil out of your kitchen and do it. No big deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
love that.
Okay. Because I don't
Great.
think I have sesame oil right now.
Yeah, coconut oil, almond oil, olive
Yeah.
oil, any oil.
Okay.
I'm assuming that you prefer the sesame for the oil pulling rather than a coconut.
We do, but it's okay. You can also use coconut oil. A Pitta would love coconut oil because it'll have a cooling effect. So whatever you'll do,
Yeah.
I believe in compliance over perfection.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
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 Okay.
We agree on that one.
Yeah.
So I would love to learn more about these formulas. Maybe we just come back to the turmeric first, but you have such
Sure.
a high concentration of curcumin in there. Can you just point out if someone's going, oh gosh, we're always trying to get people that like not order on Amazon, not
Yeah.
walk into just your supplement store and grab the first thing. Like what should
Yeah.
they be looking for, and how is your product a little different?
Sure. So the big problem when you do walk into a big box retailer or on Amazon is a lot of the turmeric supplements just say curcuma longa. That's just the plant name. That means regular turmeric. And so they trick us because curcumin and curcuma sound very similar. And you're like, oh, that must be right. It's not right. So if it just says curcuma longa, 1,000 milligrams, 1,500 milligrams, run away. If it says turmeric powder extract, that means nothing. It just means turmeric. So you have to be so careful on the labels. And a lot of people will just give you different proportions of those curcuminoids. So they'll say, we've given you the curcuminoids a little bit and a lot of turmeric. Again, they're wasting your time. So it's just so, it took me till after my PhD to understand how to read the labels because everyone's labeling is so different. I teach it as take 500 milligrams of curcumin standardized to 95%. If it's not standardized, don't buy it because they're not even caring to meet the standard of potency. And that's kind of scary because you have no idea what you're going to get in there, what ratios. Then you need black pepper or a healthy fat. I have seen supplements where they're like, here's your curcumin, no black pepper. I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's called Google. That was pretty basic to know what it takes to absorb this in the body. So curcumin, black pepper, and I added turmeric back in for the non-curcuminoid benefits and the synergistic effect of whole plant with extract, because I very much want to always honor that plant medicine knows best. And then my second formula is inflammation relief. My first one's turmeric gold. And so a lot of people take both, and that keeps them out of pain. And then they can just be healthy without taking pain meds. And then after that, I created sleep solutions because I realized if we don't sleep well, we won't clear our inflammation. So I made sleep teas, sleep gummies, different sleep solutions. And then I'm really, really passionate about women's health. I think we as women need a lot more tools than what exist. So I created something called menopause tea that has shatavari and 3 types of tulsi. So people tell me that their hot flashes and night sweats and all that went down or went away. And then I created a new tea called unwind tea because I find not everyone, but me, Pitta people at least, we need to like unwind at the end of our day and we need the adaptogenic support to get there. So I'm just constantly innovating with the adaptogens of Ayurveda, trying to figure out like, how do I cure the pain, the sleep, and the stress in the body? Because those are really leading causes of what's causing us trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such
Just
cool
real quick
ingredients.
question about the turmeric. It
Yeah.
comes in a capsule. Is it possible that you could open it and make like a golden milk latte or
Yes.
turn it into
Yeah.
food?
So I made a whole recipe book and it's on my website where all you do is open the capsule because I think about a third of the population can't swallow pills. And so you can open it,
Oh,
you can
wow.
put it in a smoothie, you can put it in your food. And turmeric doesn't taste that bad. Like for my own children, I'll just open the capsule and then mix their dinner on top of it. And then they don't know that they're getting their curcumin, their probiotic, and all the things that I think they should be getting. But yeah, you can open the capsule.
Wonderful.
Okay.
And thoughts on golden milk latte? I'm assuming for some constitutions it may be too heavy, or
I think for
I think-
Kapha, it's probably soothing. It can be a touch heavy, but they're fine. Vata, it's probably the best for of us all. Like Vatas need the golden
Sure.
latte.
Oh,
And then
okay.
the Pitta crowd, it would be soothing and good. We just have to be careful with dairy if everybody tolerates dairy, but you can always make a nut milk version. Just make sure you're not doing a skinny version. And I just think that we should open a curcumin capsule to ensure that the turmeric latte is giving us the dose of turmeric that we're hoping for, because a sprinkling of turmeric powder isn't going to do what we need. Not in this day and time, not with how inflamed we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, how much wine do you need to get the polyphenols? Well, you're not going to drink that much. So
Exactly. Or I tell people, if you're
Yeah.
going to get the flu, you wouldn't eat an orange. That's not the level of vitamin C you want. So same
yeah,
way with
yeah,
turmeric.
yeah.
You don't want to sprinkle if what we're talking about is inflammation.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question about the deep sleep tea. I think the ingredient combination is so interesting. So licorice root,
Yeah.
what was the thought behind that? I've never seen that in a sleep
Yeah,
formula.
I actually put so much into deep sleep. It's one of my best teas because I jammed so much Ayurveda in there, and then I had to put so much florals on top so you wouldn't taste it. So it's
Oh,
got
okay.
ganda, brahmi, osmanthus. It's got cardamom in it. It has the licorice root. So all of these ingredients are known in Ayurveda to be supportive for sleep. And sometimes you add an ingredient just for the supportive benefit to the other herbs. And licorice is that. It's one of those supportive ones that helps everything absorb,
Okay.
go where it needs to go, supports body systems. And so my goal was deep sleep should relax the mind and relax the digestive system to give you a better night's sleep. And so that one, it does that. It helps you like fall into this beautiful sleep. It's not going to keep you asleep for the whole night. So it's really for that beginning part. And that's why I make other solutions for like if you need to stay asleep for the whole night. So sleep gummies, for example, you'll sleep for the whole night and wake up like, oh, wow, okay, got my whole block.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that combination of the licorice and the brahmi is interesting because licorice preserves cortisol. So potentially for someone that has lower cortisol, but then the brahmi,
Yeah.
are we just creating balance there? It is truly adaptogenic. We're going where the
Exactly.
body needs to
Yeah.
go.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like ashwagandha, for example, ashwagandha, as we say it here, if you're stressed and anxious, it's going to calm you down. If you're having the blues, depressed and feeling low, it'll lift you up. So by combining these in the correct proportions, you're going to help the body use its own intelligence with the plant magic and plant intelligence to get the result that you want. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So it
Plants
can't
for the
be
win.
as strict as like this ingredient does this and this ingredient does this. It's the synergy.
It's the synergy. Yes, that
Right.
makes a lot of sense. So beautiful. Amazing.
Thank you.
Any other questions
Okay.
about products, Renee? We want to share with our audience where they can find more of you. If you don't have
Yeah.
any more.
I was going to say, we'll definitely, I know a lot of links to share with our audience. ShivaniGupta.com. We have fusionaryformulas.com. And then we have all the Instagram, Facebook. Everyone check out the show notes. We'll make sure it's easy to find.
Perfect.
And I believe we have a discount code. Thank you
Yes.
for that. Biohacker Babes, if anyone wants to try out these formulas. Thank you for sharing that.
For
Thank you
sure. Yeah, and everyone, you can reach out to me on Instagram anytime. I'm there. I love teaching on this topic. I have my podcast, Fusionary Health. So definitely reach out to me. This is my favorite topic to share on.
Wonderful.
Oh,
Thank
so
you.
excited to learn from you. And I can't
Yeah.
wait to dive in even more, learn more Ayurvedic wisdom from you. So
Yeah.
before we wrap up, we would love to ask for one final piece of advice, something that our audience can start doing today to improve their health.
The easy one, tongue scraper. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorites. It's like my tried and true. I think it's so easy. So everyone go on Amazon or to your local health food store, Sprouts, Whole Foods, they all sell them. Copper tongue scraper is what's preferred out of Ayurveda. Copper has antibacterial properties. It's almost self-cleaning, but you should rinse it off. And you're going to gently scrape the tongue 7 to 14 times. Don't gag yourself. Don't go too far back. And what you're going to be doing is you're gently, and imagine this, you're gently massaging all the organs of the body, just like in reflexology, your organs are reflected on the bottoms of the feet. So that's my favorite health hack from Ayurveda. That's like the easy one.
It's great.
Great.
How many times a
And-
day? Just once?
Once morning, that's it. If you want to do it again
Okay.
in the evening, you can, but it's a morning health habit.
Okay.
Okay. Because I
Before
usually
you drink
tongue scrape
anything.
to get the film off
Yes.
before I go to bed, but
Yeah, you can. I mean, I brush my teeth in the morning and use my tongue scraper right after, and then I start my hydrating and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
excellent.
Yeah. Because I always think Paul Chek, I remember he said, don't drink water until you've done at least tongue scraping or brushing or rinsing of some sort. So,
Yeah.
and maybe that's the connection with the gut health. So,
It
okay.
is.
I'm
It
going to
is.
add it. I'm going to add tongue scraping back in. Thank you for
Nice.
the reminder.
For sure. Awesome.
Beautiful.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. This was awesome. I'm really excited for our audience to learn more about you and Ayurveda. I think it's just such a great blend for what everyone needs today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
And
And thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next time.